The council chamber was filled with noise when Yuna arrived the next morning. Hundreds of species had gathered to watch the vote on humanity's membership. Most of them expected entertainment. They wanted to see the small human humiliated one last time before being sent back to her planet in shame. Ambassador Thruz stood at the center of the chamber, his scales bright with confidence. He had worked for weeks to make sure this day would go his way. He had made deals with a dozen species. He had called in favors. He had threatened and bribed and promised. The vote would be against Earth. He was certain of it. When Yuna walked through the main doors, he smiled his reptilian smile. "Ah, the human," he announced loudly, making sure everyone could hear. "Come to witness the end of your species' dreams? How fitting that you should be here when the council rejects your pathetic world." Yuna said nothing. She walked calmly to the observer section and sat down. Her face showed no emotion. Thruz was disappointed. He had expected fear, tears, begging, perhaps. But the human just sat there, as quiet and still as a stone. No matter. Soon she would understand. Soon everyone would understand, the council president. A floating creature made of light and gas called the meeting to order. The noise in the chamber slowly died down. "We are gathered to vote on the application of the planet Earth for membership in the Galactic Concord," the president announced. "According to our laws, a new species must be sponsored by a current member. Without a sponsor, the application is automatically rejected." Thruz stepped forward. "Honored President, I have spoken with every major species in this chamber. None are willing to sponsor the humans. They are too weak, too primitive, too dangerous. They have no place among civilized peoples." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the crowd. Yuna kept her face calm, but her heart was pounding. Where was the queen? Had she changed her mind? "Is there truly no one who will speak for Earth?" the president asked. It was a formal question, required by law. Everyone knew the answer would be silence, but the answer was not silence. The floor at the far end of the chamber began to crack. Lines of darkness spread across the crystal surface like spreading ice. The temperature dropped so fast that breath became visible mist. Every light in the room flickered, and then she emerged. The Hive. Queen rose from below the floor like a mountain coming to life. She was even more impressive in full light than she had been in the garden. Her black shell gleamed like polished obsidian. Her crown of plates spread wide like the petals of a deadly flower. Her 1,000 eyes swept across the chamber, and every creature she looked at felt the weight of ages pressing down on them. Thruz stumbled backward. His scales went pale. "Great Queen," he stammered. Why silence?" The word hit him like a physical blow. He fell to his knees, gasping. The queen moved through the chamber with terrible grace. Species that had ruled their own corners of the galaxy pressed themselves against the walls to give her room. No one dared speak. No one dared move. She stopped beside Yuna. "The Thyrix Hive formally sponsors humanity's application to the Galactic Concord," she announced. Her voice filled every corner of the chamber, every mind present. "Any objection will be considered a challenge to Hive authority." Absolute silence. The queen turned her many eyes toward Thruz, who was still on his knees. "Ambassador, you have threatened this human. You have tried to harm her. You have lied about her species and plotted against them. This ends now." Thruz tried to speak, but no words came out. He was trembling so hard that his scales rattled. "The Valkyrie Empire is strong," the queen continued. "But the Hive is older. The Hive is patient. And the Hive never forgets. If any harm comes to any human, anywhere in this galaxy, the Hive will remember." She turned to face the rest of the chamber. "Humanity stands under our protection now. They are no longer prey to be hunted. They are a pack. They are family. Any who threaten them threaten us." The queen looked down at Yuna and extended one of her limbs. Yuna understood. She stood up and walked to the queen's side. The massive creature rested her limb on Yuna's shoulder, a gesture of protection that everyone could see. "Furthermore," the queen added, "Lieutenant Yuna will serve as my personal liaison to the human species. She has shown courage that most beings in this galaxy have forgotten. She has stood alone against an ocean of hatred and refused to drown. The Hive is proud to call her friend. The council president recovered first. The Thyrix Hive sponsors Earth. Does anyone object? Silence. Complete silence. Then by the laws of the Galactic Concord, Earth is accepted as a member world. Welcome to the stars, humanity. Yuna felt tears running down her face, but she did not care. She looked up at the Queen, searching for words to express what she was feeling. The Queen's purr filled the chamber. No need to thank me, little one. You earned this. You and your stubborn, beautiful species. Later that day, Yuna sent a message to Earth. She told them everything that had happened. She told them about the Queen, about the Hive, about the protection that now covered their world. She told them that humanity had a future among the stars, and at the end of her message, she added something personal. They thought we were weak because we are small. They thought we were prey because we have no claws. But the oldest being in the galaxy saw something different in us. She saw survivors. She saw hope. She saw what humans really are. Yuna looked out the window at the stars stretching into infinity. We are not prey. We never were. We are the species that refuses to give up. We are the dreamers who reach for the impossible. We are human. The Queen appeared beside her, settling down with that familiar purr. Ready for what comes next, little one? Yuna smiled. I was born ready. Somewhere across the galaxy, a new chapter was beginning. Humanity had found its place among the stars, and they had found something even more precious. They had found a friend. Yuna sat on the garden floor next to the Hive Queen, trying to understand what was happening. The most powerful creature in the galaxy was beside her, purring like a giant cat. It should have been terrifying. Instead, it felt strangely peaceful. You are shaking, the Queen observed. Her voice in Yuna's mind was gentle, like a grandmother speaking to a child. I am scared, Yuna admitted. There was no point in lying. The Queen could probably read her thoughts anyway. Yet you do not run. Yuna shook her head. Running never helps. I learned that a long time ago. The Queen made a sound that might have been a laugh. Wise words for one so young. How old are you, little human? 32 years. 32 years. The Queen's many eyes glittered with amusement. I have slept longer than that between thoughts. Your species lives such short lives, like flowers that bloom for one morning and then fade. We make the most of the time we have, Yuna said. Yes, yes, you do. The Queen's purr grew deeper. That is what makes you so fascinating. Yuna finally felt brave enough to look directly at the Queen. Up close, she was even more impressive. Her shell was not just black. It had patterns in it like the rings inside a tree. Each ring was a century of life. There were too many to count. Why are you interested in humans? Yuna asked. We are new to space. We are weak compared to other species. We have nothing to offer you. The Queen was silent for a moment. When she spoke again, her voice carried the weight of ages. Long ago, before the Valkyrie learned to walk, before most species in this galaxy existed, the Thyrix were not as we are now. We were small, weak, prey. Yuna blinked in surprise. She could not imagine this massive creature ever being small or weak. Other species hunted us, the Queen continued. They ate our eggs. They burned our hives. They pushed us to the edge of extinction. Everyone said that the Thyrix would die out, that we were too weak to survive. She turned to look at Yuna with those 1,000 eyes. But we did not die. We did not give up. We hid in the dark places of the galaxy. We grew stronger. We evolved. We learned. And when we finally came back into the light, we were no longer prey. The Queen's voice grew soft. I remember those days. I remember what it felt like to be hunted, to be seen as nothing, to have no one believe in your species except yourself. Yuna felt something shift inside her. You see that in us. In humans, I do. The Queen's purr became almost affectionate. I have watched your species since you first reached the stars. I watched you stumble and fail and try again. I watched you face dangers that should have destroyed you. And always, always you refused to give up. She reached out with one of her smaller limbs and touched Yuna's shoulder. The touch was surprisingly gentle. The other species see a small, soft creature with no claws. They see prey. But I see something different. I see what we once were. I see survivors. Yuna felt tears forming in her eyes. She had spent weeks being treated like nothing, being told that humans did not matter, being made to feel small and worthless. And now this ancient being, this creature older than human history, was telling her that she mattered, that her species mattered. The Valkyrie will not stop, Yuna said. They want humans to fail. They want to prove that we do not belong here. The Valkyrie are fools, the queen replied. They have been powerful for so long that they have forgotten what it means to struggle. They look at you and see weakness. But strength is not about size. Strength is not about claws or weapons or armies. She leaned closer, her voice dropping to a whisper in Yuna's mind. Strength is about standing up when the world pushes you down. It is about facing fear and not breaking. It is about holding on to hope when there is no reason to hope. That is true strength. And humans have more of it than any species I have seen in 10,000 years. Yuna wiped her eyes. What happens now? The queen settled back, her purr filling the garden like distant thunder. Now we wait. Tomorrow, the council meets to vote on humanity's membership in the Galactic Concord. The Valkyrie are confident that you will be rejected. They believe that no one will speak for Earth. She paused, and Yuna could feel a smile in her mental voice. They are wrong. Yuna stared at her. You will speak for us? I will do more than speak. The queen's eyes blazed with ancient power. I will stand beside you. And the galaxy will learn what happens when the Hive chooses a side. For the first time in weeks, Yuna felt hope. Real hope. Not the desperate kind that keeps you going when everything is falling apart, but the warm kind that tells you things might actually be okay. Thank you, she whispered. I do not know how to thank you. The queen made that laughing sound again. Thank me by being what you are, little human. Thank me by showing the galaxy that it was right to believe in you. Thank me by surviving. Yuna nodded. She could do that. Surviving was what humans did best. They sat together in the garden until the station's lights dimmed for night. The human and the ancient queen, two survivors from different ends of time, finding in each other something that had been missing for far too long. Connection, understanding, hope. Tomorrow would bring battle. Tomorrow would bring change. But for now, in the quiet of the garden, there was peace. Day 25 began like any other. Yuna woke up, checked her water for poison, and prepared for another day of being ignored. But this day would be different. This day would change everything. She decided to visit the Arboretum. It was a large garden in the center of the station, filled with plants from 100 different worlds. Most species avoided it because the mix of smells was too strong for their sensitive noses. That made it perfect for Yuna. It was the one place where she could breathe without feeling watched. The garden was beautiful. Trees with silver leaves grew next to flowers that glowed in the dark. Vines hung from the ceiling like green curtains. A small stream ran through the middle, its water changing color as it flowed. Yuna walked along the path, letting the peace of the place wash over her. She did not see the Valkyrie. Until it was too late, 3 of them stepped out from behind a cluster of purple trees. They were warriors, not diplomats. Their scales were darker than Thros's, and their claws were longer. They wore no symbols of office. They were not here in any official way. They were here to hurt her. Ambassador Thros grows tired of waiting, the largest one said. His voice was a low growl. He sent a message to your Earth. He told them to take you back. They refused. Yuna's hand moved slowly toward the small weapon on her belt. It was a stun gun, weak compared to what these warriors carried. But it was something. So now we must send a different message, the warrior continued. A message written in blood. The 3 Valkyrie spread out, blocking her escape. Their tails swished behind them, the spikes catching the light. Their yellow eyes fixed on her like predators watching prey. Yuna's heart was pounding. Her mouth was dry. Every part of her body was screaming at her to run. But she knew that running would only make them chase her. It would prove that humans were weak, that they were prey. She pulled out her stun gun and held it steady. "You can try," she said. Her voice did not shake. She was proud of that. The largest warrior laughed. "One small weapon? Against 3 Valkyrie? You cannot even hurt us with that toy." "Maybe not," Yuna replied. "But I will try. And when Earth learns what happened here, they will come. Not one human. All of them. Every ship. Every soldier. Every weapon we have." The warrior's smile faded a little. "You threaten us?" "I promise you." Yuna's eyes were hard as stone. "Humans remember. We hold grudges for generations. You kill me today, and your grandchildren will still be running from my people." For a moment, the warriors hesitated. Then the largest one shook his head. "Pretty words. But words cannot save you." He lunged forward, and then he stopped. All 3 Valkyrie stopped. They froze in place as if time itself had grabbed them. The air in the garden grew cold. The lights flickered. The plants seemed to lean away from something terrible. Yuna felt a pressure in her mind. Not painful, but heavy, like a giant hand resting gently on her thoughts. She turned slowly, her heart nearly stopping at what she saw. She was massive, bigger than any living thing Yuna had ever seen. Her body was covered in black shells that gleamed like polished metal. She had 6 limbs that moved with strange grace. Her head was crowned with plates that looked like a dark crown. And her eyes. She had so many eyes. They covered her face like jewels, each one reflecting Yuna's image 1,000 times. The Hive Queen. Yuna had read about her, of course. Everyone knew about the Queen. She was older than most civilizations. She had ruled the Thyrix Hive for longer than humans had existed. Her word was law in half the galaxy. Even the Valkyrie Empire feared her. The 3 warriors fell to their knees. They pressed their faces to the ground. Their bodies shook with terror. "Great Queen," the largest one whimpered. "We did not know you were here. We meant no offense. We were only silence." The Queen's voice did not come from her mouth. It came from everywhere. It was inside Yuna's head and outside it at the same time. It was soft and terrible, like velvet wrapped around steel. "Leave this place," the Queen commanded. "Now, tell your ambassador that the Hive is watching. Tell him that if any harm comes to this human, I will consider it a personal insult." The warriors scrambled to their feet and ran. They did not look back. Yuna stood alone with the Queen. Her legs felt weak. Her hands were shaking. She should have been terrified. The most powerful being in the galaxy was standing right in front of her, but she was also alive. The Queen had saved her. The massive creature turned those many eyes toward Yuna. For a long moment, she just looked, studied, evaluated. Then slowly the Queen lowered herself to the ground. She settled beside Yuna like a giant cat lying down in the sun. And from deep inside her chest came a sound. A low, rhythmic vibration. A rumble that Yuna could feel in her bones. The Hive Queen was purring. "Sit," the Queen said. Her mental voice was softer now, almost warm. "We should talk, you and I." Yuna's legs gave out. She sat down hard on the garden floor, right next to the ancient being who had just saved her life. "Why?" she managed to ask. "Why did you help me?" The Queen's purr deepened. "Because you are interesting, little human, and I have not been interested in anything for a very long time." 3 weeks passed on Station Varix 7, and Yuna learned what true loneliness felt like. It started small. When she entered a room, conversations would stop. Aliens would turn their backs. Doors would close just as she reached them. At first, she thought it was just bad luck. But soon she understood the truth. Every species on the station had agreed on one thing. They would make the humans suffer until she gave up and went home. The dining hall was the worst. Yuna would walk in with her tray of food, and every table would suddenly become full. Aliens who had been sitting alone would call friends over. Groups would spread out to take more space. There was never room for the human Dot, so Yuna ate in her quarters, alone, every meal. Every day, the meetings were no better. As Earth's representative, Yuna was supposed to attend the council sessions, but no one told her when they happened. She would arrive at the council chamber to find it empty, or she would discover that the meeting had been moved to a different room. When she did manage to find the right place at the right time, no one would translate the discussions for her. She sat in silence while aliens argued in languages she could not understand. On day 15, something worse happened. Yuna woke up feeling sick. Her stomach hurt. Her head was spinning. She checked her water supply and found that it had been contaminated. Someone had added a chemical that was harmless to most species, but made humans very ill. She spent 2 days in her quarters, too weak to move. No one came to help her. No one even asked if she was alive. When she finally recovered, she found a message waiting for her. It was an official complaint from the Velkari delegation. They claimed that her biological presence was offensive to their sensitive noses. They demanded that she be confined to her quarters at all times. Yuna read the complaint 3 times. Then she deleted it without responding. She could have given up. Earth Command would have understood. They had warned her that this mission might be too hard. They had offered to send a team instead of one person. But Yuna had insisted on going alone. She believed that one human showing strength was worth more than 100. Humans showing force. Now she wondered if she had been foolish, but every time she thought about leaving, she remembered something her grandmother had told her when she was young. Her grandmother had lived through hard times, war, hunger, loss, and she had survived it all. "The world will try to break you," her grandmother had said. "People will tell you that you are too small, too weak, too different. They will try to make you believe that you do not matter. But you must never believe them. You must stand up every morning and tell the world that you are still here. That is how you win." Yuna stood up every morning. She washed her face. She put on her uniform. She walked through the station with her head held high. And when aliens turned away from her, she smiled at their backs. The smile was not real. But they did not know that, on day 20, something strange happened. Yuna was walking through a quiet corridor when she felt a presence behind her. She turned around quickly, expecting another attack or insult. Instead, she saw a small creature. It looked like a child, although Yuna knew it was probably older than her. It had 4 arms, big black eyes, and pale blue skin. It was a Thyrex, a member of the Hive species. Yuna had read about the Thyrex. They were ancient and powerful. They controlled half the galaxy, but they rarely involved themselves in the petty politics of other species. They watched. They waited. They did not interfere. So why was this one looking at her? The small Thyrex tilted its head. It made a soft clicking sound. Then it turned and walked away, disappearing into the shadows. Yuna stood there for a long moment, confused. She did not understand what had just happened. But she felt, for the first time in weeks, that she was not completely alone. That night, she recorded her log as usual. "Day 20, she said to the empty room. "I am tired. I am lonely. I miss Earth. I miss the sound of human voices. I miss food that does not taste like plastic. I miss feeling like I matter." She paused, took a breath. "But I am still here. That is what counts. Every day I stay is a victory. Every day I refuse to break is a message to the galaxy. Humans do not give up. We do not run. We plant our feet and we face whatever comes." She smiled, and this time it was real. "They think they can outlast me. They think if they ignore me long enough, I will disappear. But they do not understand humans. We survived ice ages. We survived plagues. We survived wars that nearly destroyed our world. A little loneliness is nothing compared to what our species has overcome." She turned off the recorder and lay down to sleep. Far away, in the heart of the station, the Hive Queen listened. Her children were her eyes and ears. They saw everything. They heard everything. And they reported everything to their mother. The Queen had been watching the human for 3 weeks now. She had watched Yuna face contempt without anger. She had watched her endure isolation without breaking. She had watched her smile at those who hated her. The queen's ancient mind turned with new thoughts. This small creature was stronger than she looked. Not strong in body, strong in spirit, strong in will. The queen made a decision. She would watch a little longer, and then perhaps she would act. The ship doors opened with a soft hiss, and Una stepped onto Station Varric 7 for the first time. Her boots made a quiet sound on the crystal floor. The air smelled strange, like metal and flowers mixed together. She took a deep breath and walked forward. She was the first human to ever visit this place. Earth had sent her alone because they wanted to show trust. They wanted to show that humans were not afraid. But as Una looked around the massive hall, she wondered if that was a mistake. The ceiling rose so high that she could barely see it. Strange lights floated in the air like tiny stars. And everywhere she looked, aliens watched her with cold eyes. There were so many different kinds. Some were tall and covered in scales that glowed different colors. Some looked like giant insects with too many legs. Others floated in the air or crawled on the walls. All of them stared at the small human woman who had dared to enter their space. Una kept walking. Her heart was beating fast, but she did not let her face show fear. She had trained for 5 years for this moment. She knew that these aliens respected strength. If she showed weakness now, everything would be over before it started. A group of tall creatures blocked her path. They were Valkyrie, the most powerful species in this part of the galaxy. Their scales shimmered between blue and green, and their eyes were yellow like a snake. The biggest one stepped forward. He was at least 3 meters tall, and his tail dragged behind him like a thick rope covered in spikes. This was Ambassador Thruz. Una had studied his file. He was known for being cruel to weaker species. He enjoyed making others feel small. Thruz walked in a slow circle around Una. He looked at her like someone might look at an insect they were thinking about stepping on. "So this is what Earth sends," he said. His voice was deep and rough. The translator in Una's ear turned his words into sounds she could understand. A tiny creature. A soft thing with no claws, no scales, no armor. Una stood still. She looked straight ahead, not following him with her eyes. "Where are your weapons?" Thruz asked. "Where is your army? Do humans not know how to fight?" "We know how to fight," Una said. Her voice was calm and clear. "We also know when fighting is not needed." Some of the aliens in the crowd made sounds. Clicking, buzzing, growling. Una understood that they were laughing at her. Thruz leaned down until his face was very close to hers. His breath was hot and smelled like smoke. "Your species is new to the stars. You have been in space for less than 200 years. My people have ruled for 10,000 years. You are nothing." Una did not step back. She did not look away. "Every great species was new once," she said. "Even yours." The laughter in the hall stopped. Thruz's yellow eyes grew narrow. "Brave words," he said slowly. "Stupid words. Words that will bring pain to your people." "Perhaps," Una replied. "Or perhaps you will learn that size is not everything." For a long moment, no one moved. The tension in the air was so thick that Una could almost feel it pressing against her skin. She knew she was in danger. One wrong move and Thruz could kill her with a single swipe of his claws. Her death would be an accident, a regrettable misunderstanding, and Earth would lose its chance to join the Galactic Concord forever. But she also knew something else. She knew that running would be worse than dying. If she showed fear now, humans would be marked as prey. Every species in the galaxy would see them as weak. As food. So she stood her ground. Finally, Thruz pulled back. A strange smile crossed his reptilian face. "We will see, little human," he said. "We will see how long your courage lasts." He turned and walked away. His followers went with him, their tails swishing behind them. The crowd began to break apart, aliens moving off to their own business. But Una could feel their eyes still watching her. Judging her, she found her quarters at the edge of the station. It was a small room, barely bigger than a closet. The bed was hard, the lights were too bright, and the walls made strange humming sounds. But it was hers. Yuna sat on the bed and finally let herself breathe. Her hands were shaking. She held them tight until they stopped. "Day 1, she said out loud to the empty room. "I am still alive. That is a start." She pulled out her communication device and began writing her report to Earth Command. She told them about the station, about the Valkyrie, about the way every species had looked at her with contempt. She kept her words professional. She did not mention how scared she had felt when she finished. She lay back on the hard bed and stared at the ceiling. Somewhere on this station, something was watching her. Yuna did not know this yet. She did not know that in the deepest part of the station, an ancient creature had turned its many eyes toward the small human, who refused to kneel. The Hive Queen had seen 1,000 species come and go. She had watched empires rise and fall like waves on a beach. Nothing surprised her anymore, but this human was different. The Queen settled deeper into her throne of living crystal and began to pay attention. For the first time in centuries, she was curious about what would happen next.